Hello, my name is Marie Zinman. I am from Group 7, and I'm going to be discussing some of the pitfalls of new urbanist planning that we've seen as these neighborhoods have kind of had a chance to grow. In one of the articles that we were assigned, The Region by Peter Calthorpe, he describes new urbanism's goals as being creating diverse neighborhoods with diverse populations, affordable, adequate housing, sustainable, walkable structures, etc. But as Jill Grant, a professor of urban architecture and urban planning, points out in a collection of research articles, new urbanist neighborhoods and practicality seem to be falling short of these goals. First of all, looking at accessibility, more often than not, new urbanist neighborhoods tend to just appeal to the wealthy and they become enclaves of the rich. Housing prices remain very high and they are not accessible for mixed income, middle income, lower income individuals, and so they're falling short of that goal. Next, land use. Many new urbanist neighborhoods, rather than building on adding onto existing architecture and existing development, they are just using more and more new build land. And this is unsustainable. And in the case of Daybreak, Utah, and South Jordan, Utah, the neighborhoods are actually encroaching onto contaminated land from one of the biggest copper mines in the world. And so not only does it pose a sustainability risk, it's also a health hazard to its residents. But when we do just revitalize existing urban areas and other areas that already have housing on them, we run into the problem of gentrification, which is uprooting existing cultures, as well as privatization, which is taking public spaces and public buildings that are used for lower income individuals currently, privatizing them and making them more expensive so that these individuals no longer have shelter. And so these are all problems that we see coming from new urbanism currently, and as well as some problems just with the principles of it.
Hi, my name is Braylon, and I'll be speaking on the Brodeker City, a new community plan. A part of this article, Wright talks about his vision, which is a society where every citizen should own at least 1 acre of land with new city features, those being decentralized communities, as well as integrating transportation, modernization, and agriculture. He also talks on different philosophy and different views, those being promoting individualism and returning to the Jeffersonian and immersion value, just to kind of bring in different values of land ownership. A similar article I found relating to this topic is the American Urban Planning Inception to Modern Day, where they talk about the layout of American cities and that they often go unseen, and they kind of document the changes that we've seen in American culture with our city design. Those being the changes from suburban growth to a focus on public housing, and then we have issues of redlining and segregation, and then kind of the concept of sprawl and the suburbs spreading out. And now the big challenge and change for urban areas is affordable and innovative housing. And then looking forward to this kind of new change and modernization, we're looking for denser housing as well as clean industry and using clean resources.
Howdy, I'm David D. Arment. New urbanism is a system of city planning that is really focused on creating communal areas while still promoting high density and just generally more planned cities. And probably one of the greatest examples of this, despite the fact that it never came to fruition, was Le Corbusier's city plan for Paris, which would pretty much create just gigantic apartment blocks and then have the rest be open parks, shopping districts, and what have you. But as we know, that never came to fruition. But there are other plans like that, especially one in London called the Barbican. Now, I've actually been to the Barbican numerous times. I'm very familiar with it. Parts of my family have lived there for years, so I'm very familiar with the Barbican, and I've even got a map of it that I purchased from the Barbican. And you can see I attached it in my slide that Barbican is just, it's phrased as a city above the streets, because if you walk on ground level, there's tunnels going underneath it, and you have to take staircases and elevators to actually get up to it. And it's this gigantic complex of apartments and theaters and shops and libraries. It's really amazing, but it's also a great example of where new urbanism can be seen with some drawbacks, that it's very difficult for people to express themselves through it. It's very singularly designed in the fact that it's not able to change. It's a gigantic concrete structure that if you want to make any alterations to it, you're going to have to bulldoze it. So this is a problem that comes with new urbanism in general. It's just that for areas to be designated as properly communal, they have to be planned before anybody actually moves in, before anything started to get built. So it creates situations where it removes the opportunity for people to express themselves and for the city to grow naturally, because it has to be set beforehand how it's going to go.
The video called Sustainable Cities by Crash Course on YouTube covered how cities are changing in ways to help reduce climate change for future generations. These kinds of cities that are changing for the future are called climatopias. To do this, cities need to think about people and communities that make up the city. The first thing people can do to help is use natural resources responsibly, such as conserving water. Another thing is social equality and making sure everyone is affected the same. Helping cities become more sustainable needs to also apply to those who can't afford it, or gentrification will cause people to have to leave. While there's lots of benefits to living in cities, such as the cost of resources and cultural exchange, there's losses like an increase in pollution. The first thing to start the change in urban areas is to bring the community together to collaborate, and this will in turn help future generations and reduce pollution. In the text Author's Introduction in the Town Country Magnet by Howard E., he talked about cities and how crowded they are, and therefore came up with the idea of a garden city. While towns offer jobs and a social life, they are way too crowded. The country is beautiful and peaceful, but lacks economic opportunity. Therefore, he landed at Town Country, which is a combination of the two, also known as a garden city. The characteristics of a garden city include mixed zoning, which is organized residential, commercial, and industrial areas. These cities also need to have community ownership and a self-contained economy. Howard is known for incorporating green spaces into cities and increasing sustainability. Both of these materials focused on how we can develop and update cities to benefit the future. With rising climate change, large cities need to shift their focus to the future and figure out how they will support the inhabitants of these cities in generations to come.